Good evening, America. Happy Friday. We made it through another week, and you're in the latest edition of Just the News, No Noise. I'm your host, John Solomon, reporting to you from a snowy nation's capital. Yeah, we got about 3 or 4 inches here today. That's always amusing to watch bureaucrats driving in the snow, and it has been quite a comedy, as normal. Tonight, we have a lot more for you on the alleged J6 pipe bomber's arrest and how the FBI was finally able to break open that case. Of course, FBI Director Kash Patel was here last night and gave us an exclusive on just how it came down. Today, FBI Director Dan Bongino led a new look into the mountains of evidence, or we learned how Dan Bongino led a new look into the mountains of evidence collected by the Bureau and its law enforcement partners since the incident that included hundreds of hours of video footage, cell phone data, credit card data, even license plate readers. What's even more incredible, the arrest was based on information the FBI already had. The FBI and Justice Department officials stressing that the Bureau obtained no new evidence or tips. Just a fresh look at the case files is all it took. And as you heard the director say last night, it was either gross incompetence or gross negligence on the old FBI's part. He wasn't happy about either. Now, we're going to have Congressman Barry Loudermilk, the chairman of the J6 House Committee, in here in just a minute to break down more about this case. He was just briefed by the FBI a few hours ago. He's going to have the very latest, including word that the suspect has confessed to planting those bombs. Now, there was another major development today at the Supreme Court, just a day after they affirmed Texas's redistricting map for the 2026 election. The Supreme Court has agreed to hear a case concerning whether President Trump's order limiting birthright citizenship is legal, basically ending birthright citizenship for the children of tourists or illegal aliens who come to this country. This is going to be the big case of the 2025-2026 session of the Supreme Court. As you know, for a long time, President Trump has raised concerns about anchor babies. Those are babies born here just so that a illegal alien can try to stay here in the country, arguing they have to take care of their child. So the court's going to rule on this. It's going to be an epic case. All right, time to turn to my amazing co-host, Amanda Head, who always has some epic headlines for us. Amanda, what are you watching today?
It was a fun day at the White House and involving professional sports. President Trump was at the World Cup final draw earlier today at the Kennedy Center, as the 2026 event will be held here in the United States as well as in Mexico and Canada. And FIFA, soccer's governing body, or as they demand that we say, football's governing body, presented the president with its inaugural FIFA Peace Prize. Take a look at how that all went down.
You definitely deserve the first FIFA Peace Prize for your action, for what you have obtained in your way, but you obtained it in an incredible way, and you can always count, Mr. President, on my support, on the support of the entire football community or soccer community to help you make peace and make the world prosper all over the world.
This is truly one of the great honors of my life. And beyond awards, John and I were discussing this. We saved millions and millions of lives. The Congo is an example, over 10 million people killed, and it was heading for another 10 million very quickly.
And the president also participated in the FIFA World Cup draw, and he had this funny moment after Canadian leader Mark Carney and Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum both drew their respective countries.
President Trump, up to you. Don't forget to mingle, to mix.
I think I know what this is going to be now.
Everything.
But let's see.
Are you sure? Are you sure this is the ball? You can still change it if you want.
Does he know something that I don't know? Let's give it a shot. This is shocking.
United States of America.
Good old process of elimination. Now, the United States will play in Group D of the World Cup against Australia and Paraguay. And in some more good news for Republicans and the president, the Indiana House has approved their new congressional map. Now, that map is going to swing all 9 congressional district races in favor of the GOP. It was 7-2, by the way. Now, this news comes after the Supreme Court allowed the Texas redistricting effort to go ahead for the midterms. But even though it passed by a 57-41 vote in the state House, it still needs to get through the Indiana Senate, where there are some Republicans who have voiced opposition. Now, the redraw comes as President Donald Trump pushes Republicans in other states to redraw their maps to give Republicans an edge in the 2026 midterms. So, John, midterms already piping up, but I loved what happened today with FIFA because the Village people played and President Trump got to do his iconic dance. It was a jovial time.
There's a million new MAGA soccer fans today, I think, after that. That event is really important. You know, the redistricting wars are really heating up. Florida now getting into it. Ron DeSantis calling a special session. The Democrats started something they may have some regrets about when they wake up. Meanwhile,
Can't take the heat, stay out of the kitchen.
that's right. They turned on the stove and then ran out of the kitchen. Of course, they don't even want gas stoves now. But anyways, I digress. One more thing I wanted to just quickly mention. I do think I'm hearing a lot of a buzz in the Democratic community that Harmeet Dillon's crackdown on voter rolls is going to have a profound effect. The Democrats just are not going to be able to manufacture fake votes anymore. That is a really big thing. And I literally heard Democrats panicking about this, which tells you something. They may have known all along they were rigging the system. But anyways, it's very interesting to hear. All right. Amanda, while you were out reporting today in the snow, I was in my warm chair here, but I had a chance a little while ago to talk to the chairman of the J6 subcommittee in the House that runs that investigation. He represents the great state of Georgia. And Congressman Barry Loudermilk had a private briefing with the FBI just before we talked. He made a lot of news. Have a watch. All right, joining me now, the member of Congress whose work has done more to help the public understand what really happened on January 6th, not the original narrative we were told. The chairman of the House Judiciary Subcommittee that is now in charge of the J6 investigation, Congressman and Chairman Barry Loudermilk. Sir, good to have you back on the show.
John, it's good to be with you, especially today. We're getting places.
Yes. Well, no member of Congress spent more time trying to figure out what really happened with the January 6 pipe bombs than you. You put out the footage, you analyzed it, you did your own work, you got the FBI lab reports. How satisfying is it to know that the new FBI, the new team, was able to solve this case?
Well, it's very satisfying because, especially from the briefing we had today, where they reemphasized there really wasn't a lot of new information. Nothing breaking. There may have been some old information that was just surfacing that had never surfaced before, but nothing that the previous FBI couldn't have accessed themselves if they put a lot into this. And so it was just great investigative work. I've described this January 6th investigation as taking several thousand-piece puzzles, putting them all together in one box, and then scattering them out on the table upside down and trying to put it together. I mean, the only way you can do that is through a process of elimination, and that's what the FBI did. They put new resources on it, in fact, brought in different specialties from different parts of the country. And I think that was what was key, not just the same old folks in the Washington field office, because if you overlook something, you're likely to overlook it again. But, and I'm not saying there was, but if there was any political bias, then moving the older folks out brings new people in. And so that's what they did. New faces new eyes looking at the data, as well as different areas of expertise coming in. In fact, they said they took the best of the best and brought them in on this case.
Just amazing. And the FBI director here said that the reason that the prior regime didn't solve this case quickly, like the new team did, was either gross incompetence or gross negligence, and that neither was satisfying to him. Do you have any theories why a Chris Wray FBI couldn't do what Kash Patel's FBI did in really about 6 weeks' time?
The question I would ask is not why they couldn't, was why they wouldn't. It just seems like when you go back and you look at how they seem to put a lot of emphasis early on into determining who this person was, but then quickly pulled those resources off. And a lot of them were put on going in after the people who, were protesting at the Capitol, and some that went in the Capitol then really didn't do anything. I mean, I'm not a violence denier. We know that there was violence there, but a lot of the prosecution should have never been prosecuted by, the grandma who goes into the Capitol, turns around and leave. But you take people off of an investigation into a potential terrorist attack, and you put them on a political witch hunt. I think the question then becomes not why they couldn't, but why they wouldn't.
Yeah, no, it's a very troubling question when you begin to think about it. It's extraordinary. Now, you had this briefing today. Was there any inkling, has the FBI come up with any motive for the crime, whether there are other co-conspirators, anything that you learned from that briefing that caught your attention?
I mean, from the briefing itself, that question was asked, and quickly the FBI said, we're not ready to answer that yet. And I understand that. It's still an open investigation. You do have the guy who apparently has confessed to doing it. Now you have got the first person source that we haven't had in 5 years. You need to really question him. You need to take the forensic evidence you have from him, his cell phone. One of the things that I have asked over the years is, who was the gray hoodie person, which we now know as this Brian Cole? Who is he communicating with? The video shows him being on the phone with people. Who is he communicating with? Did he have co-conspirators? This is something now that the FBI, they know who it is, and they'll be able to track down who he was talking to, and then start talking to other people. So the FBI was a little coy with their response, but that's what I would expect at this point. And this is what I want: is you don't want to tip off everybody that was involved. I don't believe this guy worked alone. I mean, he could have, but it just doesn't fit the MO. So we've still got a lot of work ahead of us. And quite frankly, it's a partnership now between my committee and the FBI and the other agencies that didn't exist in the previous administration. They were obstructionists. I mean, they, as you brought up before, they hid documents. Documents were destroyed. And now we have an FBI, especially Deputy Director Bongino, who I've been working closely with. They're very good. In fact, as they find information that they think will be helpful to us, they'll give us a call and make sure that we can get that information. And we're doing the same thing. As we uncover something, we're sharing it with them.
Yeah, what an extraordinary partnership, and how much progress has been made in just a few short months since that partnership was struck. From the timeline we've learned, about 6 weeks ago, they implement a new red team. Within 2 weeks of that red team, they have their suspect. They monitor him for 4 weeks while they build the case. From that time frame, it didn't seem like it took very long. Once a new team got fresh eyes on there to put the evidence together, it seems like the evidence was sitting in plain view of the agents.
Yeah, I think it was. Of course, they took all the evidence that was obtained 5 years ago, as well as more information that has surfaced since then. But that's why they were able to move so quickly. I wasn't sure how long that they were working on this. I had heard they've been working on it 9 months, but during the briefing, when they gave the timeline, it didn't pass us by without realizing that is the same time frame that our committee was also stood up.
That's right.
And I look at our committee of how much progress we've made in that short of time, which was I felt was impressive. But for the FBI to take this cold case and turn it around and solve it, and I mean, they're confident that they have the guy, and of course he's apparently made a confession to it. That's extraordinary work. This is the type of FBI that we used to think that we had, right? This is what the TV shows and the movies were made about, is this level of investigative work that the FBI does. When they pull together, they not only work together with all the professionals that are in the FBI, and they're doing it objectively, but they also bring in partnerships from other investigative agencies to get to the truth.
Yeah, it really is an amazing textbook story of how to really solve a case after maybe a decade of pursuing false cases and not solving the real ones. Now, you have a lot of questions still left. Who put up the gallows? Why did this bomber stop by the Congressional Black Caucus and kneel down by a bush? Were you able to get those answers today, or are those in the next phase of the investigation?
That's going to be in the next phase. Most of those questions I had, but I held back asking them because I knew what the answer would be, is that it's premature to do that. But yeah, we have a lot of questions, even of the pipe bomber, as we've discussed. Were the bombs still out there from the night of the 5th till the afternoon of the 6th? If so, why didn't the Secret Service Bob hit on it, or dog hit on that? Were the devices placed, which we know they were on the 5th, retrieved and then placed back again? And did he leave anything at the bush at the Congressional Black Caucus? As we've revealed, that they did make a stop there, stopped at the bush, knelt down before he got to place the device at the DNC. So there's a lot of unanswered questions, but they have the firsthand source right there, which we hope can provide some good answers, because if we can just narrow these theories down, we can solve a lot of the other questions in January 6th. And I've always felt that if we can solve the pipe bomb, then you'll start seeing the dominoes fall for all the other strange things that happened on January 6th.
Yeah, I think that that's exactly right. Was the FBI able to give you any inclination of what in this confession, if there's anything unique in the confession he provided, any new information, or was it just that they confirmed that he admitted he was involved?
It was just a confirmation. They gave very little information there, which I expect and I respect.
Right.
Most of what they were giving us was the background of the investigation, because there were several well, I think myself and a senator were the only two elected officials on the phone, but there were other members from both sides of the aisle, staffers from different committees and different offices on that asked questions as well. But they were giving background, I think, to give Congress the sense of they did their due diligence. It wasn't something they did on their own. They involved the U.S. Attorney's Office. They also had a grand jury that was looking at the evidence, issuing subpoenas. So they dotted the I's and crossed the T's exactly the way that they should have. And I appreciate them sharing that, so it can maybe circumvent some of the conspiracy theories that I'm already starting to hear, that the FBI this isn't the guy. So I think it was important for them to do this level of briefing.
Yeah, everything the director told us last night on the TV show made that clear. They really did dot I's and cross T's and triple check things. And while they were doing that, they kept a close eye on this gentleman to make sure he had no other nefarious plans with pipe bombs. So the public should rest confident those things happen. Mr. Chairman, you've been such an important voice for truth in America. It's such a great honor to have you on this very big day, to have you get your perspective and also the latest news from you. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you, John. I think this is just the beginning of a lot more revelations to come. And thank you for your coverage and your diligence, too.
Well, thank you, sir. That means a lot coming from you. All right, have a great weekend, sir. Folks, we're going to take a quick commercial break. More right after these messages. Hey folks, you might be wondering, when's the right time to start adding collagen to my diet? How about today? Collagen production starts to dwindle in your 20s, and by the time you hit your 50s like me, it's decreased, and it contributes to wrinkles, sagging skin, and joint discomfort. Now, Native Path Collagen can help. It's packed with only type 1 and 3 collagen fibers, the ones your body needs most for healthy joints, for healthy skin, bones, hair, nails, and also, believe it or not, your gut. Plus, it's third-party tested for purity and with no fillers, no additives, and no artificial junk. That's important to me. 2 scoops a day of Native Path delivers 18 grams of protein. Mix it into your coffee, your tea, your soup, or any drink. It's completely flavorless and easy to use. Right now, you can get a special bundle deal at the fraction of the retail price. Plus, you're going to get free shipping. Available at getnativepath.com/justnews. That's getnativepath.com/justnews. With over 4 million jars sold, thousands of 5-star reviews, and a 365-day money-back guarantee, this is your moment to take control of aging before symptoms get worse. So go to getnativepath.com/justnews right now. Supplies are limited and demand is surging. That's getnativepath.com/justnews.